You know, one of the hardest things for me to do as a provider, as a therapist, is to tell my client that I think their parent or their family member or their guardian, sometimes their adopted parents too, that they have a Machiavellian set of characteristics that really makes it hard for them to have a connecting, loving relationship with the individual. Machiavellian characteristics can be very much very complex, I'll put it that way, for a lot of people to try to identify, understand, and connect with. When we're talking about a Machiavellian characteristic or character, technically we're talking about what we call subclinical psychopathy, meaning that the individual has some symptoms of psychopathy, but what makes it difficult for us to define them as a psychopath is they don't meet the criteria 100%. And a lot of these kind of individuals can show within their behavior, sometimes at the first appointment, sometimes at the first meeting, sometimes the first date, sometimes the interview, whatever the case may be, they present as very astute, mature, directed, self-motivated, positive, balanced, right? They have all of these characteristics that would cause other people to second guess why they're having so many relationship challenges, why they've been fired so many times, you know, why people don't want to be a part of their lives. It's really hard to see that there's a problem. A lot of people with a Machiavellian set of characteristics can come across as very healthy. They can come across as very balanced. It really is a test of time, because you're going to need to be around that individual for a long period of time to be able to identify that that characteristic over there is a psychopath move. That characteristic over there is a very unhealthy disposition. Machiavellian characters typically are competitive. They're very highly motivated to outperform and outshine other people. They also tend to be really difficult as parents sometimes. They're helicopter parents, controlling parents. They can also be jealous parents, intimidated parents, really authoritative at times, really authoritarian, like a Hitler kind of a parenting style. They can really be difficult to live with growing up, because again, they have these external behaviors that appear to be normal, but as soon as the eye is turned off of them, the door is shut, there's privacy, then their true characteristics can begin to show. Or one thing that may trigger them to show many of their Machiavellian characteristics may not trigger them in another situation. And so in a situation where, okay, you failed out of high school and you had to tell your mom and dad that you're not going to college, that may stir that Machiavellian set of characteristics within your father and your mother. And they may really pressure you and set up these expectations that are hard for you to measure. Now, let's say in a different situation, you decide, okay, I'm not going to get married right now. They may be very easygoing parents that really is proud of you for making an independent decision. So it really depends on the situation for these kind of individuals who tend to be antagonistic to really show their behaviors. Now, let's say, for example, you have a parent that's always been a helicopter parent. They've always been very pressuring and competitive, and you know, they've had all of these stormy kind of encounters with you where, you know, one minute you guys are close, the next minute you're fighting, or one minute you guys are having a great holiday, and as soon as New Year's is over, you're going back to that very tumultuous relationship with your parent. You can go through a variety of situations and experiences with your parent that can just feel stormy. And so some of the reasons why is because they have what we call in a clinical sense antagonistic behaviors. They're very, very antagonistic. And that involves cynicism and callousness. It can involve devaluation of you and others, right? You're not that much better than me, you know. How dare you try to step up to me and look like you're better? Oh my God, look at that thing you've done over there. Look at that person you've married. How dare you? You know, they can have all of these very negative ways that they see other people. They often tend to have an internal dialogue that says, I hate life, I hate people, I hate the world, I'm just here, and if I could kill myself, I would. you know? Or if I could kill everybody else, I would. That's part of the Machiavellian characteristic as well. Devaluation, resentment and hostility, anger, immaturity, you know? There may also be very limited parental engagement, right? If this is a parent that you have, you're an adult child, maybe they were never present in your childhood and you're an adult and it hasn't changed, right? So that can be in there as well. They also have low honesty and humility. They don't tend to be very humble, caring people. They tend to be very calculating and manipulative and triangulating. That's something else that you can fall into, is triangulation with them. And they have this neuroticism that's at the core of who they are. They're anxious, sometimes highly worked up, and it can be really difficult for you to have a relationship with somebody like this, especially if it's a parent. So if you think your parent fits this description, you want to keep watching. You know, research has done some experiments, I should say, with the Machiavellian character, and we've tried to really align the Machiavellian character with a personality disorder. And so here's what the research is saying in some areas of psychology, that an individual with a Machiavellian character sometimes really can come across as borderline personality. You may be asking why. Well, that's because of splitting. You know, sometimes the Machiavellian personality can see you as positive one minute and negative the next, right? They can see you as a wonderful, great person, and they shower you with all kinds of compliments and, you know, just praise. And then maybe a day or so later, they're not in favor of you because you've disappointed them in some way. And it may have been a situation that didn't require them to feel disappointed in you, but they are. You know, it's really dramatic emotionality and falling on how they're feeling rather than what's really happening in the situation. So borderline personality has been connected to the Machiavellian characteristic. Also, individuals with Machiavellian characteristics, they tend to have what we call a locus of control. And that basically means that they believe that things outside of them dictates whether, you know, they are going to succeed or not succeed. I'm sorry, guys. I thought I heard my phone up there. My phone's right here. Oh, my God. That they can feel like everything external to them is in control. And so a lot of times they try to appear competent. They try to appear confident. They also try to manipulate how other people see them because they believe that their power and control is external. It's not internal. It's external. So if they can manipulate everybody, if they can manipulate how you see them, that's the way it's going to be, and they're going to continue to do it. There's also, in research, we found deficits in emotional intelligence and deficits in empathy. Most people with a Machiavellian personality find themselves really, what's the word I'm looking for? They find themselves not being able to be emotionally intelligent, which shows them up, and it causes other people to say, wait a minute, there's something off here, you know? Cognitive empathy in and of itself is not a bad form of empathy, but what it says is I know exactly what you want from me, but I can't emotionally give that to you. And so a lot of times they seem very heady, if you will. They seem very smart and intelligent, but when it comes to love, compassion, and warmth, forget it. So how does this impact you? Well, growing up with this kind of individual, you're likely to see poor parenting and parental and sibling alienation. These kind of parents don't get along. If you have a Machiavellian character in both parents, God help you, because both parents are going to be cynical. They're going to be angry, possibly have what we call low agreeableness. So they're going to be very antagonistic and difficult to deal with and difficult to make peace with. And so this can drive you absolutely insane growing up with a parent like this, because now you're making really big decisions and they're kind of coming at you with these primitive behavioral responses. They're devaluing you, they're making judgments on you, they're projecting, you know, they're splitting you, and this can be really hard for you. Parental and sibling alienation is also something that can happen. They can just begin to alienate you from the family, especially if they don't like something that you're doing. They also tend to have this unsupportive parenting style where they're not going to help your dad be the dad that he needs to be, or dad's not going to help support your mom. They're going to go at it, you know, and they're going to fight, and you're going to be in the middle of that, and that's going to be really difficult for you. Triangulation is something else that they get a kick out of, you know, putting you in the middle of. You know, you're technically the victim in this situation, but they're going to either put you in the role of rescuing somebody in that dynamic, or they're going to put you in the role of taking up for somebody, and you're going to be, you're going to be yesterday's dinner, if you will. That's when their cynicism and their callousness tends to come out, is when they feel like you're going against them. They technically can keep you in a triangle for a very long time. They often also have a very competitive and jealous disposition with you. This is the kind of parent that is a jealous parent. They're competitive. They want what you have, or they're going to try to be just as nice as you, or just as nice looking, or just as intelligent. These kind of parents are hard to live with and digest. And don't forget the stormy relationship characteristics. It's going to be like this in your life for a very long time. Again, these individuals are psychopaths, but they are psychopaths in a subclinical way. So we can't necessarily diagnose them as antisocial personality disorder, but it is very clear that they are missing a lot. Stay tuned for my live chat coming up in the next few days. I'm going to be live talking about these personalities, so come join me. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.